Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, the stock market, any kind of market where we can make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up discussion today. We've got Bitcoin ripping higher to 95K as inflation numbers come in better or at expectations. We've got Trump saying tech companies, starting with Microsoft, will have to pay more so Americans don't have higher electricity bills. This goes against the backdrop of him saying he really wants higher prices coming out, really attacking Powell once again. And then finally, Supreme Court still predicted at 73% to rule against the Trump tariffs today. We'll just check in with that, try to have a think through some of those implications. Ruling meant to come out today, obviously delayed from last week. We also got the latest on price action and general thoughts on the market as usual. So stay tuned for that. But like to say, I've got Legendary and Bread in the co-host seats with me today. We are ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is very, very risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, it's Wednesday. It's the 14th of January. Bread, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Coming right for me. Doing good. We were absent on Monday because we were out over the weekend, a little extended stay in the mountains. I was skiing. I was walking with the dog. We got river to see some snow, so that was fun. But we're back in action. Been back in action for a day and a half now.
How was it?
Excited.
How's the little break?
It was great. Yeah, it was good. I grew out my facial hair because I've had to take a razor, and then so I was looking like a mountain man for a little bit there. Everyone kept commenting about it yesterday, so I had to shave it off. It was embarrassing. I cannot grow facial hair for anyone listening. So but that was good. Yeah, like I said, we got to see snow for the first time with our dog. First time for her to see snow, so it was fun. It was like a little adventure thing. And then got to ski. No accidents. Only close accidents, which was a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good. And I got an email from X Marketplaces. I'm gonna now have a meeting on Friday to potentially buy Bread, the handle.
A meeting.
So
you have to attend a meeting.
Apparently, it's like so for the process so far.
Who's it with the person who owns Bread? You got to do like a live negotiation or something.
Bro, I'm sure it's like I'm probably breaking some clause right now, even talking about it. Like they're gonna tell me, "Oh, sorry, brother." But yeah, like I put in the thing. Bread's a rare handle, so I put it in, and I was like, "No, I haven't heard shit." I did a tweet even last week. I was like, "What? I haven't seen shit." Mert got his. Mert's got Mert. Totally got Totally. So like things have been going down. And they sent me a message like, "How much would you be willing to spend on this?" And I was like,
"Who?
I don't know, man."
X.com sent you.
X sent me that. They said first it was like, "Hey, are you interested?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested. Like, I'm emailing you from Bread Guy, like, yes, my picture is Bread." And then they're like, "Okay, how much would you willing to spend? Like, just give us ballpark." I was like, "I don't know, man." So I sent him a number. Like, let's have a call. So I'm either gonna get scammed on Friday, or this is the actual next stage of this, and I'm doing well.
I would not, depending on the ballpark range that you provide, that is impacting how fast you're getting a call with them, and if you're even getting a call at all.
Yeah, it's a blind auction. Yeah. For sure. Like if I gave like a.
Do you think the call menu went in too high or too low?
Too high for sure. I fucked up.
If
it's a blind bid
shows up at the call, you overpaid for the handle.
Yeah. And I met or was talking to a guy, because I reached out to the guy who owns Bread, the handle, on Telegram too. And it's like, bro, like, what do we gotta do here? And that guy is like a connoisseur of handles across networks. And he's like, bro, I can hook you up with Bread on X. He's like, I actually helped build the system. He's like talking all this shit. He's like, this is how it's gonna play out. And it's actually been accurate. Like it's been playing out the way that he mentioned it. But yeah, so we'll see.
What a great role. What a mysterious man. The connoisseur of
Vlad.
Fascinating. Well, hope you go well in the bidding process. Got to circle back on. Did you say Friday, or we'll know by Monday?
Yeah. I got leverage. I got Bread underscore. Like I'm really close right now.
Out there.
So like, we'll see how it goes.
Interesting. Okay. That's funny. Legendary, you think you're gonna get you're never gonna outbid for the legendary handle, are you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go against a multi-billion-dollar movie studio to get a handle that is absurd. Just gonna be legendary with 2 Ys and, you know, be happy and maybe not happy, be accepting of that.
Yeah.
I should be able to get the B check one here. I'm sure that I don't even know who the actual B check is. The real B check. I need to check that one. That shouldn't be too hard. It would be my bet. Look, we're gonna get into the main stuff as usual, as always. But Funky, your hand is raised here. How much would you pay for the Funky handle, Funky?
Well, it's crazy because I've actually looked into this myself. And you look up Funky at Funky, it's a girl who joined in 2008, hasn't tweeted since 2010. And there's very few derivations of Funky, right? With the PH, probably like 5 accounts that have anything related to Funky. And they claim it's a rare handle. I'm like, how the hell is this rare? But what I was going to say, and I didn't realize that Brett had gone this far down the rabbit hole, because the next thing, if you are an affiliate of a premium business account, they prioritize getting the actual handles for those people.
Oh,
I've now since reached out to the premium support through the business of Global Stake, saying, hey, what's going on with my Funky handle that I requested, for our main affiliate?
that's
So
the Mega ETH handle doing its work. Premium subscription.
All right, I would have said try that route first before you.
Yeah. So that's how I got bread. That's how I have bread underscore now, because that was a free. They just gave it to me because of the.
Everything. They got you that one. So you've already used up your goodwill from them.
Well, I tried that one because like the rare handles you can't just straight up get. Bread was rare. Bread underscore was just good. And I just looked. B check is available. It is, no one's using it. There's got no tweets, 6 followers, and it's actually, it stands for black check, not blank check. So false. Misappropriated too. So
absolutely false. What a liar! Absolute liar. Slander. Okay, well, I'm going to do that after the show today or at some point soon. But before we get there, we're going to get into the usual stuff as always to get you up to speed with everything that you need to know is going on in the market. I think it's a pretty exciting time. I made some moves today, which we'll talk about later in the show. Let's get to it first, though. Bitcoin is up 3%, just a touch under 95K here. We've got ETH up almost 5% to just under 3.3K. I'm just going to refresh this to make sure the prices are accurate. Yes, that is more or less fine. BNB is up a couple of percent to 930. Sol's up a percent to 144. We have Hyperliquid up 6% to just under $26. And we have on the meme coin side of things, Bonk's up 6, Pengu's up 7, SPX is up 2, Pump is up 12, back to 2.8 bill FTV. Pump's really moved quite big off its lows. Pippin's up a couple. And what else do we have here of note? Rect is up 8% as well. So green day across the board. That's quite nice to see. In terms of the headlines that we're going to discuss today, we're going to be talking Bitcoin moving higher towards 95K as the inflation numbers yesterday came in better than maybe expected. We'll talk Trump saying tech companies will have to pay more, so Americans don't have high electricity bills. As we've spoken about, just headline after headline at the moment that Trump is bringing to the table, giving the markets a lot to digest over and over again. And then finally, Supreme Court still predicted at 73% to rule against the Trump tariffs today. That was delayed from last week. Foreseeably, a bit of carnage to come out on the back of that, right? Trump's been coming out to say that it would be terrible. It would be a mess if they rule against it. It'd be bad for the economy and stuff. So let's see. Some notable price action already mentioned, but in addition, Story up 28% to $3.93. 3.93 bill FTV for Story Protocol again. Kinetic also up 18% after its market's launch on Hyperliquid. Getting into the rest of the news, some interesting stuff here. Binance announces Asta will power perps inside the Binance wallet. That is pretty interesting. Polygon announces it will become a US regulated payments platform by acquiring CoinMe and Sequence. CZ announces a multi 8-figure investment via his family office in privacy-focused decentralized trading platform, Genius Trading. So again, this kind of privacy angle coupled with trading is something to watch, I think. CoinGecko considers sale at a valuation of around 500 mil, crypto M&A potentially still being of interest. Vivek Ramaswamy's Strive acquires Bitcoin company Semler Scientific in an all-stock transaction. We used to bring up Semler quite a lot in the past as when they used to do more Bitcoin buys. I think there'll be more consolidation around the Bitcoin treasury companies. Tokenized stock trading hits record high of $800 million per month. I think that's a vertical that's going to continue to grow. Pakistan signs an MOU with World Liberty Fire to explore USD1. Backpack announces prediction market with cross-margin feature. ETH Gas, this is an interesting one. ETH Gas announces TG for Gwei, snapshot on January the 19th. People speculating that you might see all of the gas that you've ever wasted on chain will be returned back to you via this airdrop. At a minimum, you should go and check how much gas you've spent in wallets and see whether you are eligible, or check the eligibility thing, because that could be a good one. Those type of things can be quite fun ones sometimes. Wellstar Cherry Cola drink by Rec Drink sells out in less than 24 hours. We were happy to have Ovi on the show on Monday to preview that drop. That was a fun conversation. And a couple of other bits. TokenWorks announces anyone can now create an ERC20 strategy launch. And finally, I don't know if you guys remember this, Soma game, the follow-up game to the game that took over the timeline. I can't even remember. Had multiple delays, but it's just announced its acquisition by Animoca Brands. Portal Games, which launched at like a $4 billion valuation and just went down only for a year and a half or 2 years. Followed it up with this Somo game, took in huge investment. Don't think they returned anything. There was no tokens, been acquired by Animoca. So that's the news, guys. That is the roundup. Before we get to the main stuff, coming to you, Legendary, first to ask if there's anything catching your attention here.
Quite a few things. Very, very diverse roundup today. So where do we start? Maybe the gaming side of things. Yeah, Soma was a bit of a tragic story when the...
Did you invest in that one in the end?
No.
Honestly, it was so... I remember like biting... What's the analogy here? Biting my lip is not the right analogy, but the equivalent of biting your lip to not say something, biting myself not to invest in it, because I made a humongous...
Biting your tongue?
Biting my tongue.
Biting your lips pretty sexual, buddy.
Well, you know, for the right investment, Brad. For the right
no judgment. Yeah.
Depends what angel round it is, isn't it? So I'd made a ton off Portal, and this was like the follow-on. Loads of people were like taking those gains, throwing it into the next one. And I just kept telling myself, because I remember speaking to one of our friends who had also made a ton, just like, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan as it vests. You've got to sell it. Just keep selling. Go into Bitcoin and dollars. And then as the year progressed, reduce the amount of Bitcoin I went into and increase the amount of dollars I went into. And it was the best. You know how, Ledge, sometimes we talk about trades that you don't take, or sometimes when you sell at a loss even, but it's just such a great win, even though you didn't do anything, because you avoid the car crash. And I feel like that was one that could have got a lot of people.
Yeah, that was a good one to avoid, because there was a ton of FOMO around that, despite so many red flags. But yeah, the state of Web3 gaming also has caught my attention over the last week, because I now had two Web3 games reaching out to me that they are trying to sell, and if I could help facilitate with finding a buyer from them. And I'm pretty certain that they've been sending mass DMs to a couple of people they found interesting for that. So doesn't make me too optimistic for gaming at large. Still think that there's going to be some standout games coming out of Web3, but yeah, there's just as I would love to have more hope for that sector, as I equally enjoy gaming, enjoy NFTs, I rationally don't think that it's going to be successful at large. It's going to be a few standout winners, but not a broad return of Web3 gaming at all. Even Portal pivoted. Didn't they pivot from gaming to be a, what are they now, a liquidity providing? What are they? Let me Google. They had a complete, yeah, the universal liquidity layer. I love it. The URL, let's get it up on screen actually. The URL is still portalgaming.com, but they are now a new era of Portal, the universal liquidity layer, and they're doing, I don't know what they're doing nice graphics for sure.
Gross.
So yeah,
Great graphics.
great graphics, great landing page. United Ethereum and Solana ecosystems.
Gamified liquidity.
Yeah, redefining the no, it's not as simple, Brad. It's more sophisticated. It's redefining the relationship between attention and liquidity. You're creating infrastructure that puts the power back in your hands.
Infrastructure is valuable, so
Yes,
that's why that's
I've learned nothing and I hate it.
this is why I'm so sassy about it as well. Yeah. I mean, it's a
Okay.
beautiful landing page, but I have no clue what they do, what that means.
Yeah, very nice design. Good point about the gaming stuff, though. Ledge, I think I'm kind of in the same bracket as you. Turned my attention. I was never even involved in it as much as you were, but I think there'll still be some good stuff. But a lot of stuff was very, very overvalued for a period of time. And one point I'd make on these acquisitions when they're announced, you know, sometimes acquisitions can be announced as acquisitions because that's what it sounds nice to say, but there can be like very specific terms in there where not almost no money changes hands, and there will be like some type of structured deal to make it make sense for both people. As sometimes teams are just looking for a way out of the thing that they've created, and it can be very advantageous for people. So I wouldn't necessarily. I think some people thought, oh, they've made away with like a ton of money, like a amazing exit. Who knows? I don't know the details, but it's often not the case when you do that kind of thing. Brad, any further thoughts on that, or is there anything else catching your attention here? What's going on your side?
Yeah, right. So I got 3 things here that jump out at me just to like expand the conversation. One was actually, this is a good reminder for me for TokenWorks. I was an original minter of the TokenWorks 1 ETH thingy, and I was saving my claim of the punk strategy ETH until the new year. So this reminded me, I did that. I had basically 2 ETH sitting there waiting for me to claim. So appreciate that, brother.
As in, you had invested 1 ETH and you had 2 ETH in profit.
Yeah, it's the meme. Yeah, I sent them 1 ETH, they sent me 2 back.
It actually happened.
It actually happened. So, but I mean, my understanding is that's indefinite.
Like it's not over.
Is it? Yeah, it's just like now I get a portion. Yeah, as long as punk strategy is generating fees, I have a claim of 1/100th a portion of that, which was the 2 ETH.
This really is what tokens are supposed to be. This is like the only team that has ever done it. And maybe fair enough, there were like securities laws prior that made it too difficult and whatever. But this is what everyone wants in crypto. This is it.
Yes.
And they've done it. It was an NFT project. I don't think they get enough credit for the way Rhinotic has designed this thing, the way it's captured the spirit of what crypto was supposed to be. You had these early supporters. They're constantly being rewarded in perpetuity. So for however long that protocol is going well, there's no token price that you yourself are worried about, right? Because you bought a standalone NFT. It's not trading on the market. So there's no stress about for the founder, like, oh God, I got to keep looking at this token price. You know, you invested in them one time, you took the risk, and now you've got this perpetual claim over a percentage of revenue, right?
Yeah, I think like, and just for a little bit of clarity for like how this came to be, because this is about a year in the making, right? Like I did this back at the beginning of last year. So Rhinotic is the creator. He's a guy that's just like messed around on chain for a long time. He's a creator, experimenter, whatever. He's done like, he did the shape dot circle experiment. He did like this other one on base that was like a death token tax thing. He's done a bunch of stuff. And whenever he wasn't like doing an NFT project, he went through TokenWorks, which said, hey, give me money. He's like, I'm going to keep doing this stuff. Give me money. I will use your guys' money to continue to experiment. And for me, my rationale at the time was that I liked the way that this guy was creating and experimenting and doing on-chain stuff. And I was basically taking a bet on him. It's like, I have no expectation of what this will come back to me as. I think he will capture attention at some point in the future. It will generate money, and maybe I'll get a portion of that. Like I just kind of had faith in the process, and ultimately that's what happened. It's a soul-bound token. I can't sell it. It's attached to one of my wallets, and I just like, after he had success with the punk strategy, He just attached this and said, hey, I'm routing X% of the fees. You guys can claim whenever. Like, here you go. And it's in the contract. You can't change it. It's immutable on both ends. So both Punk strategy is immutable and the claim is immutable. So as long as that thing's doing something cool, which as you see now, he's doing the ERC20 anyone can spin up in here. I'm sure a portion of fees now goes back to Punk strategy buy and sell, which is what he did for the rest of the NFT strategies that he spun up after the fact. So like it all kind of just like works up to this master Punk strategy. Yeah, just circle life.
And the way you described it is the way, like, to the extent that you want to do angel stuff. And I know this wasn't like a big angel deal. It's kind of like this kind of low key support of someone that you thought was doing cool stuff. Honestly, on my reflection of all the stuff that I've done, those are the ones that win, where you yourself had your own thesis. No one was like tapping you on the shoulder being like, oh, I've got this hot deal. It's gonna, you got to throw in 20K and it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Like, you yourself saw this guy, you respected the way that he built, the way he did things, the way he's conducted himself over a period of time. You just thought, yeah, like in my experience, that's always been the best way when you kind of evaluate that person as an individual, and you have you've built your own respect and thesis for them. So the reason why I'm annoyed at this one is that I came to the same conclusion as you. I think I just missed the mint. But I would have 100%. I agreed with your thesis entirely for Ryan Notting in particular, because I've also followed him. People might not know I think he was a mod in the Xcopy Discord. So he would be one of the people back in 2021, 2022, when the NFT stuff, and I was like learning about NFTs a lot. He would be sharing the information there and just being in that chat quite a lot. So I didn't know him, but was familiar with him from those days. And I think even that, like those little details, makes you aware, because if he's doing an NFT strategy token and he was one of the main mods in the Xcopy Discord, it's like, okay, that's another tick that this person's experienced and knowledgeable about the arena that he's building in. So all relevant factors when you're thinking about trying to invest in stuff. Ledge, anything else your side? You said there was a bunch of things catching your attention.
Hold on. I had one other thing I want to say, and one's actually pretty important. So one was like the Aster Binance thing. I think that's just like worth calling out, because like, yeah, it solidifies that like, bro, they're really tightly coupled. Like, so the Aster perps, whatever. Something to keep my mindful of. Like, we kind of had the thesis, or everyone kind of speculated, oh, Binance is a bet. Like, dude, like their next phase is they're in the wallet, right? That's a lot of distribution. So something to be mindful of. And then I actually took the Polygon news back to internally. And I was like, man, this is kind of interesting. Internally being then Meggy, and talking with our general counsel, just like get some perspective. And he's like, the deal is actually super interesting for two reasons. One, it's because it's a chain operator acquiring a consumer-facing payments company. And then two, from a legal perspective, it is the first time a chain co has bought a regulated entity, to his knowledge. They basically had to do a lot of restructuring and stuff. So like, it was actually kind of groundbreaking for what they're doing. And I asked him like, what was his sense of things strategically? Like, do you think this is a good move, whatever? And basically just said it was a directionally smart, capturing users first of the chain.
Yeah,
there's some unknown stuff, but like it was notable.
It makes me think of, look, at the moment, right, one of the big issues with all block space and layer ones, layer twos, is that we've built all this block space now, and there's not enough demand for it. And it's kind of the thesis that Santi is working on at Inversion, which is like, look, we need the businesses, and then you bring them on chain. That's how you like create the value. And so what they're going out is, investing in the businesses, buying the businesses or working with the businesses, and then bringing them on chain separately. And maybe this is kind of a little bit of that, right? It's like, we are the chain, we have the chain, we need to go out and get you and bring the people who, if you're not going to come yourselves, and maybe people are tired of doing these, like, we're going to pay Amazon $20 million or something to be with us for a 1-year deal, and then Amazon turn up for 1 year and then they just disappear once the deal's over. It's like, what a waste of money. No, let's just buy the people who we think are actually going to be good here. And that was the way to do it. That's the way you get them and keep them, because you now run their company because you've got the money to do it. And maybe that is the way to do it, Brad. It's an instinctive reaction, but what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of M&A recently. I think, yes, it has been, like, if you think of the superpower of crypto, it's giving a lot of money to these these companies. And I would say I would put even Ripple in this category, right? If you look at what Ripple has done, Ripple made a shit ton of money by being a meme and doing a token, but largely, at least from the crypto perspective, doing nothing, right? Everyone makes fun of them. They're like, no one uses them. It doesn't do anything. Like they're just, you know, a meme on our account. But if you watch what they've been doing the last year and a half, they've taken that insane war chest that they have acquired from doing the meme crypto stuff, and they have gone out and they've bought a lot of actually useful, actually productive, actually valuable companies. And now that once a meme is turning into something that, you know what, might be formidable because they have a lot of underlying businesses that they were able to acquire with their funds that they raised, that war chest, right? So I would say this is actually a very similar category where it's and like crypto should do more of this. You should use your money to go out and acquire things that are actually expand your footprint, grow your profit, like actually make you a useful company, so that you could back into, if you didn't already have it, obviously some chains are actually useful, but if you didn't already have like actual usage, you could back into being an actually profitable, actually useful, actually long-term company, if that is your ambition.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think maybe the era of those deals where we're just going to pay people to be around for like 12 months.
Which Polygon was notorious for.
Yeah, exactly.
Starbucks, you know, all that, right?
Nike. Indeed. All right, Brad, before I move on for you, was there another one? Did you have another one for like?
I want to hear legendary.
Ledge. You are not.
Man down.
What else is left to touch on the tokenized stocks?
Okay.
The volume in that is pretty intense. I think that this is probably one of the things I am most interested in this year, to not only see that volume increasing to such a significant extent that you can have more volume oriented traders, more professional traders wanting to trade stocks on chain, but to also get to a point where we'll see the on-chain stocks starting to link stronger into the DeFi world. Why shouldn't I be able to be a liquidity provider for Apple and Tesla if I wanted that? It's obviously not the perps trading, but we've also just seen wrapped stocks as well. So that's something that I would like to see more and more. And honestly, I am surprised by how fast the volume is growing for tokenized stocks. I expected that to take way longer. So this is really impressive to see.
Go on. Did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to look at Trade XYZ to get a view for, I'm going to share it on screen in a second, for stuff like Apple or Tesla to get a view.
I don't know if you're showing a different screen, Ledge, but it's not the one that's changing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up for myself first, and then I'm going to bring
you do that. While you're doing that, my reflection on this is, I'm kind of not, I don't, yeah, maybe the speed is surprising. I don't know. I've definitely been super bullish on equities on chain. And I think simultaneously, I had this tweet ages and ages ago, got a ton of traction. I think people were taking the piss out of me, but that I thought equities on chain would be quite bearish for crypto, the long tail, because it means that like these things will be in direct competition with the things that people in crypto used to bid. For example, I'm a perfect example of that, where in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, I've bid a decent amount of on-chain stocks, as in like stuff that I'm just holding, and been trading on Trade XYZ with leverage on particular stocks. And then today, put along on commodities on Ostium. So like that, if that didn't exist, I would have maybe found maybe one meme coin to buy, because I have also been looking at that. And like, I've got this list of things that I'm going through at the moment, because I think we're going into a slightly more risk on period. But like, I didn't get to the point this morning to allocate to the meme coin or 2 or 3 that I thought, oh, maybe I'll have a look at that, because I felt that the other things were more important. I think that's really, really important for people to recognize, that these things are 100% in direct competition. Proper investors and traders are opting into some of these other things where you can buy Google on chain and it's going to go up God knows what percent in a few weeks, like 20, 30%. It's almost up probably in the last couple of months. you know, if you long silver, you can do that on Trade XYZ as well. You can buy all stocks on Ethereum. You can buy all stocks. Well, sorry, not all stocks. You can buy the majors on Ethereum. You can buy the majors on Solana. There's different. I think Ondo is the team facilitating it on ETH. You've got StocksFi. Is it Stock X? No, X Stocks. Doing it on Solana. You can buy it like very easily through Jupiter, very easily through CalSwap or whatever. So these things are happening, and with the market, the stock market moving in the way that it is, I think it's going to continue, and that is why, long way around to say it, that's why I bought more. The two things I bought a little bit of more Bitcoin today, well, quite a lot, because I feel like we're going into that period, and I bought a lot more hype as well, as we are going into this period where, I don't know, I feel like Lighter is disappointed a touch coming out of TGE, and I feel like all the other ones will ultimately, you know, some of them will be decent and valuable, but I think we're going to start the rotation back to hype pretty soon, because the only reason that the other ones are being used is pure farming. So that's my thoughts. Ledge, circling back to you there, then curious for Brett's thoughts there as well.
Yeah, very, very strongly agree. It's probably also one of my largest positions are BTC and Hyperliquid, also in terms of an active LP that I've just had open for a longer amount of time now. Probably should rebalance it at some point, but can't be bothered to do it right now because I'm like pretty indifferent between the two assets, to be honest with you. And the thing that I'm sharing on screen from Trade XYZ, you mentioned it, is the silver market in this case, which now has become the second most popular thing, with a 24-hour volume of 160 mil. Just to put it in perspective, their own index, the XYZ 100 USDC, is at 240. And then the biggest stock is Tesla in this case, has quote unquote only 15 mil in 24 hours volume. So basically, silver is more interesting than all of the stocks that they have on the platform together at the moment. And that's also one of the good things about these decentralized equity commodity trading platforms, that when something is gaining popularity, you can very, very quickly react to that and add it to your trading universe and boost volume by that.
100%. And that's, yeah, we didn't even get a chance to say that the metals are all there now as well. We have been talking for a long time about getting on-chain exposure to gold, but shout out in the chat, I think it might have been, who was it in Telegram today asking me where, I think it might have been, who was it? Chaos or Drew, asking which metal did I like, palladium or copper. I was like, guys, let's be realistic. I don't know anything about, I don't really ultimately know anything about these metals. However, I have been doing some reading, and the thing that I'm leaning towards is copper at the moment, for whatever that's worth. It shouldn't be worth a lot to anyone because I'm not a metals expert. But someone then said in the chat, this is our Telegram chat that we're in every day, you know, copper's actually there on Hyperliquid already. That hasn't started trading yet, but they've got the ticker. So copper will be there soon too. It is live on Ostium, so you can put on a long there. And that is also going to be in competition for our funds versus the other things. So I think a lot of funds will go in this direction. I'm pretty bullish on the house, i.e. Hyperliquid. And realistically, probably Ostium as well, as the only other place that you can get this exposure to the alternative commodities, given that that's so hot right now. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. Brad, coming to you, I think you appreciated me saying that we don't know anything about metals, but what do you think?
I did. My commentary is going to be more towards Hyperliquid, just like hearing the conversation with you guys. I still have my bag. And I've been reflecting on that recently. And like right now, I would say liquidity is probably the moat, not like the actual experience or like the actual product itself, right? Like I know Lighter just had their mobile app just dropped. Like I went and I checked that out, which is okay. Limited for US residents, obviously. So that was a problem. But I've also been hearing criticisms of like the whole outsourcing the ticker process to the ecosystem. Right now, you're starting to get a bunch of fragmentation inside of the Hyperliquid product. Right, you have a bunch of these different teams fighting over getting listings. You have like Unit being the one that was responsible for a lot of the spot listings. You have Athena coming in with Hyena, which has everything denominated in USDE. You have USDH trying to come in with their stuff. You have Trade XYZ trying to list shit. You have like, so like you're creating a bunch of liquidity and ticker fragmentation within the ecosystem because they've outsourced all of that to a bunch of other teams. And that means you just have like pretty ruthless competition to get that going. So I just want to make sure that I'm thinking comprehensively about the Hyperliquid product and not just like glazing because I have my own bags and I see the revenue that they're making. What is their moat to me, right? It's not the UI. Like the UI is okay. It's like decent, but like it's a per platform. So like honestly, like a lot of people can spin up their own UI, make it pretty good. I was using Based app for a long time because I actually like that over just the Hyperliquid native one. So I don't know. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my eyes fresh with Hyperliquid, and I can't help myself but think about some of these other projects that make a shit ton of money and don't really like get any sense of like urgency or autonomy with that. Bro, they're making, you know, gajillion dollars. They're very wealthy. They can be very wealthy. Still a 10-person team a year, 2 years later or whatever. And they're just doing their own pace, which is fine. I'm sure that they're going to survive. They're going to do well. But I remember, and I hate to even say this in the same breath because it does not make any sense, but like, I remember Friend Tech days. I'm burned from that, where it's like, bro, these guys had made $50 million and it was still just two bros vibe coding, doing like a, like, yo, man, this is kind of cool, whatever. Not really having a sense of urgency, not really like sensing the competition, not really like doing anything. And then ultimately just died. Now, again, I really want to emphasize that I do not want to like straight up compare Friend Tech to Hyperliquid. And that's catastrophic. It's going to go to zero, all this stuff. It's a good product, good team, all that shit. They're making a lot of stuff. They've created some metas. I see a little bit of that, and this is going to be an intensely competitive sector, and I want to make sure I understand what their actual moat is. And right now their moat is liquidity, but as we've seen, liquidity can actually be pretty fleeting if you have incentives, if you have competing products that are actually useful. So like we're going to continue to see them get eaten away at. I looked at their volume numbers and maybe even some of their open interest numbers relative to the field, and yeah, they like at one point they were up to like 90%, and now it's down to whatever it was, like 60%. I think I saw them crest under 50% in a few things. And if it continues to get eaten away at, and they don't continue to like really have a sense of urgency of like innovating on the product or pushing it forward and consistently outsourcing this stuff, I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep fresh eyes on it.
Fair enough. I think that's definitely the alternative perspective. It's good to articulate. I'd say that I think all of these teams that are like building on top of it, in some ways it's fragmenting people's attention, but in the end, that's just all money going to Hyperliquid still because they're building on top of it. So I think it's a positive. It gives people who like love USDE and maybe like want to coalesce.
But if it degrades the experience, then the dollars go down. Like the money that's going back to Hyperliquid goes down because it degrades the experience. Is where I'm concerned.
But it's built on top of Hyperliquid.
It is, but it fractures the experience, right? So these people like if it pulls people away from Hyperliquid's other assets, right? Because Hyena, right? Athena is incentivized to create BTC USDE, right? So then you have BTC USDE, but then you also have Hype USD, or then you have BTC USDH, and then you have BTC USD whatever. So you just like you get this push and pull within Hyperliquid to create these separate markets because each one has their own incentives to do their own thing, and it just creates a degraded experience potentially, right?
I don't know.
Because as a user, I come in, I see 7 BTC tickers. Like, well, bro, what the fuck? Oh, this market's got 70 million of volume. This one's got 25 million of volume. And then someone else comes in with a stronger opinionated product. And because they have a singular BTC ticker that everyone comes in and uses, and because they are forcing people to use it, that singular market gets, 200 million volume or open interest or whatever, because they have an opinionated approach that forces people into a single thing and unifies them to create a better end user experience. It doesn't fragment them, it doesn't confuse them.
Interesting perspective. I'm personally not persuaded by that, but it's interesting to hear that is something that someone thinks. So that's interesting. I want to say one more thing about Hype, but to be honest, I think I shared my thesis. Brad shared a bit of an alternative. I think that's probably sufficient. Led, do you want to come in before we hit some of the headlines?
Not really. Nothing of substance to add here, and I'm pretty excited for the headlines, given that we only have 15 minutes left in the show.
Yep, let's hit them. Let's do it.
Alrighty. First of all, it is a massive day for precious metals. We did just touch on that. Gold is up 1%, $4,634. But more impressively, even as we have been speaking, silver is up more, almost at $92, up 6% on the day, and that makes it the best start of the year for silver ever. Since we are tracking that, we just had an article go live on Wall Street Journal, which says that silver prices obviously nearly tripled over the last year, and just this year alone. And keep in mind, it is the 14th of January. Silver is already up 28%. That puts silver on track for the best start to any year on record, topping a 23% gain seen in the first 14 days of 1980. So very strong performance on that side of things. What has helped that, and what also has helped the crypto prices as BTC has smashed through 95K, is that we have the December core consumer price data, and it came out at a 2.6% annual rate. That is a bit less than expected. Seasonally adjusted, it is a 0.2% gain on the monthly basis, 2.6% annually. Both of that is 0.1% below what has been expected. So this is also explaining why the market did react to that very positively. Some couple more interesting bits and pieces from the inflation side of things. Food prices jumped 0. Obviously, that all is US data, in case that's not clear. Jumped 0.7% per month. Egg prices, the much discussed eggs on the timeline over the last year, down 8.2% and down 21% from a year ago. Taking a look at the S&P 500 to see what has happened yesterday. Bit of a mixed picture. Some things, Google, Apple, Nvidia up a bit. Some things like Microsoft, Oracle are down, but nothing too outstanding at a first glance. However, if you take a look at the pre-market to see what's going on there, greed is still on, same level as we reported yesterday at 58 on the fear and greed index. And the pre-market is down a bit. S&P futures are down 30 basis points. Nasdaq futures are down almost 0.5%. So we'll have to wait and see how the market opens. Moving away from the stock side of things and touching on some data around Bitcoin and crypto per se, bringing up the liquidation chart because it is all red, and that means that over the last 24 hours, we've seen shorts being liquidated to quite a significant extent. Almost 300 mil in BTC shorts and 220 mil in ETH shorts have been liquidated over the last 24 hours. In total, almost 600 million shorts have been liquidated, which is nice to see from a bull's perspective. And touching on the ETF flows, we did report that the start of the year was pretty good with inflows to the tune of 470 and almost 700 mil. That was followed by 4 days of outflows ranging anywhere between 240 and almost 500 mil. However, the last 2 days reported inflows again, with yesterday's inflows, the 13th of January, being actually pretty significant, coming in at 750 mil of inflows, making it the best year of the day so far when it comes to Bitcoin net ETF inflows.
Interesting. Okay, so metal still running, stock still high, Bitcoin kind of moving. Maybe Ledge, because we're short on time today and we only got 12 minutes, we've got 2 more things to do. Why don't I go into my thing, which is kind of links, to be honest, and then let's take a view on the market here, because I definitely think I have begun to shift and my actions have taken reflecting that now. I want to share, I just put a video in the chat, Ledge, which maybe you can bring up in a moment, see if we can get the audio on that as well. So the second headline is this. It's about Trump coming out saying that tech companies have to pay for American electricity bills. I'll just pull out some of the details here because it's kind of, there's a theme here going on. What he said is that the average American household's monthly utility bills went up massively, over 30%. He said, I never want Americans to pay higher electricity bills because of data centers. Therefore, my administration is working with major American tech companies to secure their commitment to the American people, and we will have much to announce in the coming weeks. He specifically names Microsoft and says, first up, Microsoft, who my team has been working with, will make major changes beginning this week to ensure that Americans don't pick up the tab for their power consumption in the form of paying higher utility bills. We are in the hottest country in the world and #1 in AI. Data centers are key to that boom and keeping Americans free and secure. But the big technology companies who build them must pay their own way. It's kind of the theme here of trying to cap things, right? He said the other day that credit card companies can't charge more than a certain thing. He's saying here, look, if our energy costs are going so high and electricity goes so high, we're going to need to stop this, and you companies are going to have to pick up the bill. This is like very, I think what you describe as anti-capitalist stuff. This is very interventionist. This is taking hold of some of these private companies, pulling them by the neck and saying, if you want us to help you, you're going to need to give more in these specific situations. Remember, we've spoken about Intel, which, by the way, I think is up to now $48. When we first started talking about it on the shows, maybe 38, 39, up a huge amount. He had initially, part of the Intel story was that he came out and was slamming the Intel CEO over and over again. So I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was slamming him. And then just a little bit later, it was like, okay, cool, you need our help. We'll take 10% of your company as the US administration. And now we're going to help you. Now everything's fine. And since then, the US did that at around $20 a share. Now Intel's more than doubled up the US stake in that. So there's this clear like private-public partnership, multiple public-private partnerships that are taking place at the moment, which is actually informing a lot of my thinking when it comes to stock picking. Like, where is the government going to really expand spending? Who are the government really trying to partner with at the moment in these strategic key areas? And just follow the flow. That's my thinking at the moment, at least for year 2 of the presidency. And then you can kind of think about it after. We've named some of the stocks already that I've thought were interesting in that regard. And I'll probably be sharing some more research as we kind of go through the shows. The other interesting bit today, which has also helped me kind of flip a bit more bullish, is this video that was shared from a Trump speech. I think it was shared yesterday. Obviously you've got this tension with Powell, and actually I think the going after Powell thing for me is a turning moment. I know Rahim said on the show the other day he doesn't think it is. I think it is. I think this is saying that even if you have debates about the Fed, because there is historical precedent and an argument to be made that the Fed shouldn't exist. It's actually really owned by a lot of the national banks, blah, 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 blah. It's never been independent. And okay, those arguments all exist. Nevertheless, it is still unprecedented for the president to go after the Fed in this specific way, I think, at least in recent history. And so I think it is quite significant. I think it's a signal to the market to say, like we're going to be swinging. Everyone is going to be swinging. So if we're swinging, everyone else can swing as well. And this video kind of backs it up to me, where he says, when the market goes up, do we get the audio through if you press play on the video?
Yeah, let me see if we'll get an echo from the spaces. Need to try this live for a quick moment, and then we can see if you can hear something.
In the Fed, we have a real stiff in the Fed, but that's for another day. But they raise rates. So everyone says, oh, they announced great numbers. It's great, great, great. And the market goes down because they immediately raise rates. No, when the market goes up, they should lower rates. You want to see 20% and 25%? You want to see what we can do? We've got to go back to an old standard. When there's good news, the market should go up, not go down. Does that make sense to everybody? And that's the way it used to be for most of the time. That's the way you make a country great. But our growth potential is unlimited and could be much higher if we went back to sanity. We're not doing it anymore. We're talking about the head of the Fed. And I want somebody that when the market is doing great, interest rates can go down because our country becomes stronger. See, you view it differently. Our country becomes stronger, and therefore interest rates should go down, not up. They kill every rally.
This is one of the best. Well, look, he's great at making headlines. He's great at creating these moments where people are kind of smiling and chuckling and laughing with and at him in some ways. But I think, again, we've always said with this administration, you back the administration with your dollars in a sense. Like they're telling you what's going to happen. I think this desire to say like, look, when the market goes up, you should be actually not raising rates, you should be lowering rates. They're going to be more in control of the Fed coming up. They're going to be lowering rates. They're going to be taking it out against Powell. And the numbers that they've been putting out, I mentioned the Lutnick interview again from the conversation with Chamath over the weekend. They are going to print good numbers this year. That is the decision that they have made. The numbers are going to be good. Inflation has just come out good. They're going to print good data. So my expectation would be that everything goes higher. That is my thinking based on those couple of things. Curious for your thoughts here, Ledge. Going to stop there, then want to get Bread's thoughts as well.
Very, very much agree. And Kubesi Leather also put it perfectly. You do not own enough assets. I don't know where it sits in the discussion that you had with Rahim on how relevant it actually is from the Fed's perspective. But I just think that this entire push to move the market higher, even if it comes with the concessions for Microsoft having to pay more in terms of electricity so that utility bills don't go up too much, all these things are still smaller effects in everything that's happening as a driving and positive force for the market. And thus, I agree with you.
Fair enough. Brad, what do you think? What do you make of this clip?
I think it's interesting. It's interesting to hear him say, like, he's speaking like someone on Twitter. Bro, they're killing the rally, man. Like, you know, like, what, like I don't have the wherewithal to sit here and say whether he's right or wrong or give macro judgments on running the Fed better than the Fed. Not my area. But I just think hearing how he speaks is pretty hilarious.
And to be, that's why the other day we said one of the things we've been talking about recently is people think that, you know, in crypto, people think that crypto investors will get smoked as they go into stocks because everything in crypto is a vibe. Doing NFTs, meme coins, it's a vibe. Like, as if stocks is like far more fundamental, far more like deep analysis. And look, I genuinely think it is. Some of the analysis that I've been reading on stocks recently is like not infinitely higher, but like multiple times higher quality of thought than what I read in crypto. However, to act like there's no vibe component and like reading the human component when Trump is in presidency is like completely false. Like, you can just read him. You can watch Lutnick. You can watch Besson. You can like catch the vibe of them. And I think there's something to be done there. And that's what we will be doing on this show. And I think we're doing it quite well so far. I was happy I found that clip and kind of helped to inform some of my other thinking as well. But look, we've only got a few minutes left of the show today. Final headline, Brad. This might be a quick one. We did touch on it. I think this is actually a really big thing that's happening. The market doesn't seem to be worrying at the moment, but just let us know what's happening today and what the chances are, and what do we need to know?
Yeah, the headline itself is that, Trump has a 73% chance the Supreme Court rules against President Trump's tariffs and that they are illegal. That was on Polygon market. So I was like, all right, we discussed this last week. I'm trying to understand what are the second, third order effects of this. And so I had a little chat session with my AI counterparts. And I said, okay, one, what's the process of this? This gets rejected. What happens? They said, well, there's like $600 billion worth of money that they would then need to refund to a bunch of people. Like, okay, who are these people? They're largely American companies that have been taxed on import, right? So, okay, what is the duration of that? I said, okay, it's expected to come within weeks to months, right? So it's actually a pretty rapid distribution of funds that people would have to register. I think about 180 days, but to actually get a claim to this, it reminds me of the PIP loans that people were getting for around the COVID era. So all of these companies now would get potentially a chunk of this $600 billion that would be going back to companies. I said, okay, now let me think about being in the position of those companies, right? If I'm a company, I'm an American company, I've been taxed over the last year, 2 years, whatever, right, since these tariffs have been in. I have either become operationally lean, I've learned to live without the margin that was there, or it killed me and I shut down. So I asked Grok, I said, okay, do we actually have any numbers on companies that have shut down over the last like year or 2 years, just see like what the rates are and if that's actually squeezed out a bunch of people and killed them, which rates are actually elevated. So we had just over 700 companies that filed for bankruptcy this last year, which was 7% higher than the year before, which is higher than the year before. So it's actually since 2010, it's the highest year of bankruptcy filings for companies, which suggests that they probably got hit pretty hard by this. And those companies are now gone. They can get their money back, but that's not going to go back to employees. That's not going to like be paying for people. They're not going to reopen, right? They're probably just going to move on and do something. And I thought about the companies that did survive, that now have survived that period without this money because they've been getting taxed higher. They're also like, what are they going to do with the money? Like if I'm in that corporate position where, you know, we've learned to live without this money, we have the new lower margins on our imports. You're either been struggling to this point and you're going to restore your previous numbers and just try to get back to normal operating procedure, or your war chest just went higher. You're going to either give money out to your corporate executives because they like survive without, they get a bonus check for rejiggering the company to operate without it, or maybe you expand the company, use it as a boost. But I would say largely it's going to be money that goes back to a bunch of companies that does not, frankly, go anywhere and is not injected. It's just going to be cushion for a lot of people. It goes into their vault. So yeah, that's how it's going to play out. I like, now that I see this and now that I think it's not actually going to go back to the everyday people, I don't think it's going to make its way to it, right? It'll go to these few people up top. And I don't think they're going to go and yeet it into the stock market. I mean, maybe they will, or they're not going to be doing degenerate spending, not going to gamble with it like the COVID payouts did, right? Like, then that was the large incentive to market going up. So I now classify this as just like, it'll go back to the companies if this fails. And frankly, it'll be dead money on the books.
I think that's definitely one way to think about it. I also don't think, and I'm not entirely sure of the process, but like, this is the Supreme Court. This is the final rung of what, like, where you're supposed to go in order to get a decision on something. I can't see the administration taking this quietly. They've already kind of started to criticize in the sense that they wanted to suggest that, you know, this would be terrible for the economy if they were to strike them down. I just can't see them taking it quietly. And I feel like they will have planned for a scenario where, you know, if it isn't going to be this tariff, they're going to figure out a different kind of way to tax the people. And then if they want to take them to the Supreme Court again, they'll do that. Like, I think in people's minds, people think, oh, they're going to strike it down, therefore the tariffs are dead. The governments and people in power have a whole host of range of ways to levy things onto people. Like, it will not just be, this will not go away. He's absolutely wedded to tariffs. And he's brought in a ton of money, and he's going to be able to justify it all with saying, look, guys, look at inflation. Brought inflation down. Like, why are you killing me here? This was part of the way that I did that, and you're gonna say no when one day before my inflation data has come out better. And I think that's just something to think about. It'll be interesting. Ledge, curious for your thoughts there as we close out.
Again, we are very opinion aligned today, because I do agree with you, and I have nothing to add here. The only thing I wanted to also comment on that poly market is that it is a super complex one if you look at the resolution, how it works, because it is a legal matter. So there's a lot of fine print in there, which makes me uncomfy to bet on that. And also, as you said, this is just the status quo that is referencing a couple executive orders relating to tariffs. And you perfectly put it, the government has so many more options, even if this is overturned, to try to find other ways to levy tariffs, which then would maybe lead to another case in the Supreme Court, maybe would work without that legal backwork again. So it's a momentary snapshot. It's not an indefinite outcome from the ruling.
Okay, good stuff. As we said before, guys, appreciate your input. This is like incredibly complex time to try to navigate. Very, very challenging, very headline based, things going off in different directions, different countries, domestic, international, trading different markets now in 2026, aren't we? Like, we obviously started as an NFT show. Then we branched out into crypto. Then we branched out into stocks, branching out into metals. Like there's a lot more on our plates. I feel like we're dealing with it quite nicely, but there is a lot of stuff going on. So thank you so much for joining. As always, to my co-host, Legendary and Bread, thank you for joining us in the audience. I hope you enjoyed navigating the space with us. It's getting more complicated. And just another shout out to the Telegram chat. We are there every day outside of the show. If you want to participate outside of the show, that is a paid entry now, one-off fee. We've got almost 250 people in there chatting about the markets. Some people slandering our unit trade XYZ chat as we speak. So we'll have to see what's going on there, what the criticism is. But we're in there chatting around the content of the show, around the time zone of the show. So we'll be talking in the majority of the day. So thank you for joining. We'll be back again, same time, same place tomorrow. See you